All right, Kyrie Jackson was last player selected by us, just right off the top. Obviously, rare length. I mean, really rare length and size for a corner, but little man quickness, plays with explosion, burst, and that elongated package. Obviously, had a really good year at Oregon. Really kind of put it all together this year in a really premier conference, obviously with a lot of talent that he had to match against. So just really happy with the value here and what he brings to the table, because at the end of the day, you have a guy that can move, that has instincts, that's always going to be 6'0", with 33-inch arms to match up in our league where there's so many big receivers that he's going to be able to hopefully match up against. So ready for you guys whenever.
Ryan,
Yeah.
with the number of times that he transferred or the number of different systems that he played in, I guess, what challenges does that present in evaluating? But then also what benefits could there be in just him adapting to different systems, et cetera?
Well, that's why we meet with him so much. We get him in here, our coaches really dig in, and that's really their kind of wheelhouse, because we see this from a scouting aspect. Of course, we look at everything and connect the dots, but we see just a talented big man at a premium position. So I feel like once it comes together and they're bought in to it, I also think that the standard that Flo has for players and the discipline in his approach, and I think Durante's done he does such a good job with those guys. Everyone was really bought in on the player, and then bringing him in for a whole day. We also met with him at the Senior Bowl. So it's kind of like been a process in terms of like getting to know him, but he has good energy, comes from a good family. He's gone through a lot of growth through his career, but the film this year there's a lot of evidence that, you piece it together and he has instincts. He knows how to play the game. He can do various things, like, he can blitz. There's ways he can impact the game with his length, and he can also make up for his mistakes with his burst and his length too. That's just so high end. So there's a lot there for where we got him.
Hey, Ryan, just in general, how much was cornerback just a spot you guys felt like you needed to target in this draft?
It's a target for sure. I think it is every year because it is one of the premium positions in the NFL. And again, when you see someone with this type of size, and then you put on the film, because you're going to usually think, and this is just me personally, like if you see a corner that's 6'0", 3'6", you're like, oh, this guy, it's like almost like a tackle that's 6'8", like, oh, this guy's never going to be a guard, or this guy's maybe too tall because he's not going to be able to transition at that size. But the way he drops his weight and his hips and just his footwork, it just, again, it's just not ordinary. And that's why I love the pick, because I think all the coaches, everyone sees the talent and sees some of the rare things that is really hard to get in this round.
Ryan, with that said, with that size, is there a temptation, and maybe this is for Flo, when we talk to him, but temptation to see him at other positions as well, or in those kind of hybrid roles as well?
I'm not sure of that. Again, that's probably a Flo question, but we think he could be a hell of an outside corner. But again, with some of the creativity that Flo has demonstrated, I think there's some things you can do with him that can move the needle as well because of the length, the burst, and the football instincts. I mean, he's blocked field goals. Like he's been able to affect the quarterback coming off the edge. So he's just so intriguing because of the playmaking ability, the instinct, and then just, again, he's going to always be a really big corner, one of the biggest in the league right now. So it's going to be fun to see him, get here, get with our staff, and then just start, getting reps and watching him mature and grow as a player. I'm excited about it.
Ryan, does having veterans in that room like Shaq Griffin, Byron Murphy, and then obviously the secondary in general, does that, I mean, when a guy potentially might need some time to develop, does that give you more confidence with just a pick like this?
That's something that I really think that when you're a scout and you're out of the building, until you're really in the building every day and you understand what an important piece that is for growth, you know, you don't want guys to feel like they're babysitters or they're there to, you know, take away from what their process is. But I think it's just having examples in the room of how to do it. You know, myself included, like, you know, I think the best bit of advice that I could give my sons, if they were ever as fortunate enough, like, to, you know, go to the league like I did, like, just to be around guys that are doing it right. I think just by osmosis, if you're around people that do it right, you're going to probably fall in line with those guys. So, you know, he already has a lot of confidence. He has, you know, at the Senior Bowl, that was very evident when we sat down with him, the belief he has in himself. So I think that Flo likes that because that's something you can't fake. That's genuine. But we have good veteran leadership in that room, and those two guys you mentioned that are about business, that will also put their face on people in the run game, and that's something that the toughness element. You know, we're just watching highlights, and a guy, you know, a guy's helmet goes flying off. I mean, he has a physical aspect to his game that I think he'll fit right in with those other two guys, because those two guys are roughnecks too.
And then Ryan, what's it been like to see like such a high volume in that one season at Oregon? I mean, because the Pac-12 passes the ball so much, you get a lot of different opportunities to evaluate him, right?
Absolutely. You know, that's the thing. You know, there are certain players in the draft that, boy, you love so many things about them and their traits, but then you don't have the matchup. Maybe they didn't play in the Senior Bowl, or they played in a lesser bowl game to where you couldn't see them matched up with NFL caliber prospects, and there's just going to be some real unknown there where you have to do more projecting versus just having the evidence in hand. So again, he had plenty of clips against really good players, Senior Bowl and in the Pac-12, and even some into Alabama. So there's plenty of film to see that the guy can do it at that size and produce. So we feel like it should transition well, especially with the coaching we have.
Right. Just overall, how I guess proud or how do you feel about the transition you guys have kind of made here on defense with as many talent additions as you guys have made?
Well, I think I mean, credit where credit's due. I think that, you know, Coach Flores he knows what he wants, and that's awesome. You know, he doesn't waver on what he feels, but he also has a big picture sense about him. Like, even as strong as he might feel about a player, he also has the emotional intelligence to be like, well, we need this position on offense too. I know, so he's thinking through things, and he's just not saying, give me this guy, give me this guy. Now, he's persistent, and, you know, he's got a strong opinion, and I love that. But because at least you know, there's no fence riding with him. It's black and white. So I love that. I think it helps cut to the chase, and it helps to, you know, formulate opinions because he doesn't ride the fence. So I think it starts with him and how he approaches things. And I think last year what he did with what he had was excellent. And that's why we feel so good about getting him more players. And then, you know, conversely, you know, on the offensive side of the ball, I just feel we have a really good situation with KO and the offense and the staff we have there. You know, even with the additions we made on offense, you know, with McCown, I feel great about our staff on both sides of the ball. I really do.